click like, subscribe, because today is a first. We talking about Valaverse. Hey guys, thanks for coming to the channel. I've been super busy with designs for TopFunRetroToys3D.com. I have sort of been neglecting the channel, but today we're gonna start fixing that. And right now we're gonna talk about our Desert Action Force Valaverse figures, and I've got on my Tiger Stripe. There we go. My Tiger Stripe desert shirt, which I think is appropriate for the occasion. So we've got a couple figures here. We've got the Desert Guard, we've got the Desert Equipment, we've got Desert Condor, and Desert Rat. So we'll go through these figures. Really excited to get down to it. So we'll talk about each one of them, and let me know what you think in the comments. Alright, so first up is Desert Rat, and I bought this from the Valaverse booth at Joe Fest in 2023. I will be a vendor. Top Fun will be there in 2024 to sell our 1/12 scale and hopefully some 1/18 scale action figure weapons. So if you're in Augusta, Georgia, check it out. It's going to be a blast. It was a really good time last year. Lots of vendors, lots of really cool things to see, lots of vintage stuff, lots of people doing new things. Valaverse had a booth there. I don't know if they're going to be there this year, but there's lots of cool stuff to check out. So this dude is pretty cool. His backstory is that he is an SAS operator, and of course on the back it has the legend card. And if you've ever read the book by Andy McNabb, Bravo 20, Desert Rat, whose real name is Tony Roberts, his life sort of follows that storyline. So it's almost like Andy McNabb's book was the perhaps the inspiration for this figure. I really like the packaging because it has the old Action Force, which I guess Valaverse bought the rights to, but it has the old Action Force vintage retro theme. We can see on the back that we've got the other products in their line. I really dig it. I'm not a huge packaging. Like I want to see what I'm buying, so it's cool that it's clear. But I'm not like, oh, the packaging is so great. This does look really cool though. It's a total throwback, and I dig it. So let's open this up and see what's inside. All right, we got our guy out of the box, and he looks really cool. There's a lot of really neat detail. I'm going to show some stills and not just try to have this autofocus. And it comes with a fair amount of accessories. So we'll talk about the figure, and he's got his little schmog, like the OIF special. I probably have one of those as well, and that looks like it's going to come off. It looks like you move the head, and this will pop off as well. What I think Valaverse does really well is their body armor. The plate carriers with the molly are very well done, and he's got a couple mags up front. He has a knife, which is in fact removable. That's pretty cool. So the knife is removable. The mags are removable as well. We'll talk about the mags. I think it's super cool. He has a Union Jack on there. He's got his carabiner. He has his radio system. So he's got his comms, and I think their body armor is very well done. I really dug the plate carrier that Hasbro included with Grunt. I thought that was pretty well put together, but the Valaverse body armor is dope. I think it's cool. My complaint would be about the magazines, and like I said before, we'll get to that. They're scaled perhaps improperly, but his belt's pretty cool. It's got some sort of Kydex mag holsters. He has a multi-tool in the back. He's got a little flashlight. He has what looks like maybe a SIG 226. I don't know. There's no hammer on the gun, but there is like an MRO reflex type optic, so that's kind of neat. And the way his holster is positioned is it's a really good place to put a pistol. It's not strapped somewhere weird, and the pistol kind of goes in there. Yeah, it goes in there pretty well. He's got either a med bag or some other IFAK or something on his thigh. The head sculpt is pretty cool. It matches his story that he's sort of a weathered SAS, NCO. I think that's neat. And this is not simply a repaint of the Desert Republic Guard. He's got his sleeves sort of cuffed. I think the tattoos are really cool. He's got like a 550 cord bracelet on one arm, a watch on the other. I really like the fact that the boots aren't like halfway up his shins, that his pants kind of lay over that, sort of like your special operations dudes might wear their trousers. Yeah, I think the figure is very well put together. The joints aren't too stiff. Everything bends pretty freely. The elbows are the double joint, so it looks like he's going to be able to get into a pretty good shooting position. This figure came with 4 pairs of hands in totality. I think that's a nice addition because I've often found it difficult to pose the figures for my website photography. You want a hand that's open, that's ready to put a rifle into, instead of having to pry the fingers out and potentially damage the hands, because the Hasbro figures only come with the 2 hands are attached for the most part. I think it's really neat how Valaverse offers you a couple different options with the hands, and honestly that's probably like 4 cents worth of plastic. Granted, it costs a lot of money to make the molds, but I think that's a great addition to the line. I really like that Valaverse gives you some customization options, to pose your figure and give them the weapons and shooting stance that you're looking for. As we talked about the pistol, let's talk about the rifle. The rifle appears to be just a sort of standard issue M4. It looks like a SOP mod stock on the back, in a tan color configuration. It's got a quad rail with some sort of Trijicon ACOG on the top that is pretty clearly supposed to be an ACOG. The rear sight looks like an MRO instead of an iron sight, which would be not usable, most likely because it's blocked by the optic. But whatever, it works. So here's my complaint with the Valaverse magazines, is they are removable, and some people think that's a really cool feature, but in order to make it work and make it structurally sound, make the weapon structurally sound, they have to scale the magazines down so it looks like it's almost a 30 caliber, an M1 30 caliber World War II type magazine, because they have to shrink the width of this down to a degree to get it to fit in there. What they could have done is they could have just had a wider body and then a tapered end that would fit into the mag well to make it so it's not not too out of scale. Now with these particular magazines, the sort of silver aluminum looking mags, it's not super noticeable. I think it's a lot more noticeable when they try to do the PMag, thing. It makes it significantly more noticeable. So we got his little gun here. We'll put it in his hand. It fits pretty well. This looks fair. This M4 looks pretty well scaled. I know some of the other Valaverse guns, they're like big and obtruse, and there's just parts of it that look like they're significantly larger than they ought to be in real life. But I think this little M4, I think it does the job. It's not too bad. It looks good for what it is, despite the magazine being a little weird. I think the dual tone fell out. I think the dual tone's pretty cool. That's one thing that at TopFunRetroToys3D.com we're working on, is getting some paint applications for our weapons to give you a little more variety, a little more choice in the product lines we're offering, and there's going to be some cool stuff coming, so check it out. And again, it's good that he has his little hands in the still shots. I'll swap out some hands and pose them a little bit differently, just to give you an idea of what they're capable of. So he's got this backpack, and the backpack's not bad. I think they sort of have a standard issue, you know, assault pack type thing. It's well molded, looks good. It would be kind of neat if they had some, you know, grenades or some other stuff you could hang off of it, but it fits pretty well. I've got a couple little grenade options and smoke grenade options on the website, so we'll see maybe what this bag would look like with a few additions put onto it. But overall, this is a really nice figure. I like the figure. I like, there's not an insane amount of gypsy wagon gear. You know, he does have the little thigh rig, but it seems legit. It seems plausible. He's got an array of tools on his belt in addition to his pistol. The body armor is great. The tattoos are a really nice touch. This is a well put together figure. Now the price point, I can't remember what I paid for this guy, but it was, you'll put it what they go for on the website now. I want to say it was like probably in the $35 range. So you do pay a little bit more than you might for the classified series, but I think what you get is probably well worth it in terms of the figure sculpt. In terms of the detail, the tattoos, the Union Jack, the comm system, the body armor that Valaverse does is really good. I really like that. You know, on the tool belt, it's nice that his multi-tool is metallic. He's got that little flashlight, and everything is, you know, someone studied military gear and how people would have their operators would have their gear set up, you know, when they designed this. So things look like they're in the proper place. It's not all willy-nilly. It's pretty well thought out. So I really like this figure. I can't wait to take him out and get some pictures. Stay tuned for who's next. Alright, so now we got Desert Condor, and I think that this pairs well with Desert Rat, because in his legend story he references that Desert Rat is sort of his mentor / NCO. I like the packaging. I mean, I like the old Action Force retro one a little bit better, but this, you see plain as day what you're getting. There's no question in your mind. You know you're getting an array of hands. I forgot to mention that these all come with the Action Force stands, which I think they're pretty high quality. I use those in all my photography. They did a good job with that. But you see exactly what you're getting. It leaves nothing to the imagination. I like surprises on Christmas morning, not when I open my action figures and find something that's not supposed to be there, or a figure's been swapped out. So let's get this guy out and we'll talk about him and kind of move him around and check out his accessories and his gear. Alright, so Condor is out of the package, and I didn't notice this, but what's presented is 2 additional pairs of hands, but then taped in a little, we call them Coke baggies. Taped in a little baggie is a 4th set. So you've got the 2 that come with them. You've got 2 sort of fists, some other ones that just kind of hold other stuff, and, you know, almost like a cupping, you know, maybe for holding a rifle. So that's cool. He comes with a lot of all different hands. I already talked about how cool that was with Desert Rat. So this guy's setup is very similar. It is not an exact repaint, though. You can see that Desert Condor, he's got his, you know, his boots are pretty tall, but they're bloused. They have the same, you know, little IFAK, if you want to call it that. The tool belt is very similar. Actually, it's the exact same one on Condor's. The little knife on the back is painted, as on Desert Rat it's not. But they have, it appears to be the same sort of pistol. Let's verify that. Yeah, the same pistol, except this is, it looks like an OD. No, it's like a Flat Dark Earth. Little Flat Dark Earth pistol. You know, still looks like a, maybe it's a M17, but it has these weird serrations on the top of the slide. So I guess because it's hammerless, it's probably not a 226. It could be a striker fired M17. The M18 is the shorter version, which I've qualled with. I like those guns. They shoot pretty well. I haven't had any issues with them. He's got the same body armor, which is really well done. a gray version of the little schmog. I like the the tactical Union Jack there. That's pretty cool. He's got the the same little knife that comes out. We'll get to the mags. We'll get to the mags in a little bit. Figure's pretty cool. I don't know about the face. He's always amped up about something. Like, he can't calm down unless you have a different Condor head you could swap him out with. Was he yelling like, "Bruss him up, mate! Bruss him up! Bruss him up, mate!" But yeah, he's yelling commands. He's doing something, but he can't calm down. He did come with this this other, anonymous, we'll call it, sort of a little anonymous head. Condor's eyes are blue, and so are the little, the mast head that comes with him. It's hard to tell maybe in the video, but his trousers and the little masthead itself, it has this sort of a light tan and then an even lighter, almost white tan. I'll get some still photos and hopefully you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Whereas on Desert Rat, and his pack doesn't necessarily want to stay on very well. Whereas Desert Rat, it's almost like he's wearing a flight suit, even though he's not. But it's that one single dual tone, or not dual, monotone flight suit, which was commonly worn in like 2006 OEF, because we hadn't been issued the Frog gear, the flame resistant organizational gear yet. So we wore flight suits because there was a flame retardant capability inherent in those. And then we got Frog gear, which was way better. So not just a straight up repaint. We can see his sleeves are rolled pretty cool. He's got like a green skivvy shirt on. His body armor is a different shade, and the Molly webbing on the cummerbund is highlighted. So they put some extra. There's a couple different highlights on here. So they did some nice painting on it and really brought out some of the details. So this is a recently released figure. I definitely think it's cool. I kind of have a little frowny face about the head because he's like constantly at like volume 11, like, calm down, bro, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe he's like, hey, calm down, mate, it's not that big of a deal. That's a very good British accent, but you get the point. So our dude doesn't come with a backpack, which would have been kind of nice. He comes with a Scar 16 chambered in 5.56, and the Scar itself looks pretty cool. It's got iron sights, which are pretty well done. No optic, which would have been nice, to have an optic on this gun. I think that most modern weapons, unless you're going for a retro look, like for Vietnam, where they didn't necessarily have optics as a standard issue, I think it's probably appropriate to put optics on it. The Scar itself has some nice details. The upper receiver is a lighter shade of tan than the lower, and then we're going to see that exacerbated magazine scale issue with this one, because it looks like they're trying to emulate a PMag, and I think it accentuates the fact that you've got this smaller hole. It has to be structurally sound to insert the magazine, but the scale's a bit off. I wonder what the Scar, and we'll get some pictures of this in the post-production, what it looks like with a silver mag, because those magazines would be interchangeable. It's not as bad with the aluminum style magazine, but when you put the PMag in there, well, that thing really gets in there good. It really accentuates the fact that this is slightly out of scale. I wonder if there's any interest in producing a 3D printed magazine for the Valaverse line that inserts but isn't as out of spec. You just have the tapered end like I had suggested earlier. I don't know if people would be interested in buying that or not. to kind of upgrade their Valaverse weapons, or even a drum. You know, you have a beta mag, 100 round beta magazine in there. That'd be kind of cool. Or put optics on it or whatever. But the rifle should probably come with optics. And the hands bend well. You don't have to force it open. I'm in my attic and it's actually pretty hot. So I know in the cooler months it's harder for me to bend the little hands, but these are moving pretty well. The joints move really well. They're not too stiff. These are really good. These are good figures. Valaverse makes a nice product, especially the figures themselves. They're well thought out. They're well designed, and they're a little bit more realistic in terms of like when compared to the earlier GI Joe classified line. Like these, someone at least looked at photographs of modern military equipment setups before designing these. So I do think that's really cool. The helmet. Let's talk about the helmet. So the helmet comes in a couple different things. It would be hard to do these little ear caps 3D printed. I don't know how well that would hold up. So the helmet, you can remove these little ear caps, and he wears it. He wears it pretty well. I'll get some pictures of it up there. So you can put these little ear caps on it, or you can put his communication devices. Let's see here. I have to pull the helmet off to do that. Oh yeah. And you can put his little his microphone and headphones on here. And that's pretty neat. Yeah, that fits pretty well. It's really cool. There is a level of modularity in these, so you can, if he's, wants his comms on there, he's got it. It already comes with the radio. But that's pretty cool. Then he has what looks like some PVS 14s that go into the helmet, and they seem to fit pretty well. He's still mad. And if you wanted to, you could invert these while it wouldn't, this wouldn't be how they sit, in real life, but you could sort of invert it to give it that nods up look. If you were really picky, you could say, well, that's not how it's set. It would be, inverted. And yeah, you'd be right. But if you just wanted the general look of, hey, his nods are up, move his nods down, it seems like this stuff is pretty well made, and it's not going to wear out, to the point where they just fall out. These are in there pretty well. I couldn't say the same thing for the backpack. That backpack just did not want to stay. Looks like it goes in Condor all right. Let's see if he falls out in Desert Rat. Yeah, it's just you bump it a little bit and it gets loose. But if you're gonna pose them, you're gonna do some photography with them, it's fine. It's not a big deal. If you wanted to, you could probably put a little bit of masking tape to thicken the peg so it stays in there a little bit better. But you saw it drop earlier. But I guess like for what we're doing, just taking pictures of stuff and kind of playing around with them, it's not so bad. So my impressions of this figure are, I like it. I wish it came not with this. I don't really care about this generic head. It's cool for kit bash, so you wanted to make a, use all your spare parts to make something else. That's pretty cool. But if he came with a normal face, not a screaming, irate, brass him up, mate. Who took my MRE? Like, what's he upset about, dude? Calm down. You're an SAS operator, right? They don't do that. Another head would have been cool, but overall, really pleased with the figure. I think it's a great addition, and I'm calling it Desert 1, but it's going to be a retro rifles, hand painted for the desert. So stay tuned for that, because we've got some M249s. We've got some M16A1s with 203s, and then a recreation of the Gordy gun from Black Hawk Down. So that's in the works. Went and redesigned all of the retro rifles. So I'm really excited about bringing those to market. So stay tuned and check it out. We've got one more guy up. All right, so Desert Republic Guard. I bought this the same time I got Desert Rat. It was at Joe Fest last year. It took me a little while to get into it. Just been busy. Just to kind of see, you know, what was all about. And this really looks kind of like the Desert Snake Eyes. It's a very similar top, or at least torso, minus the arms, as Desert Rat and Condor. But he's got his sleeves completely down. He's got different boots. So these have like these weird little straps. And we'll get some pictures of that. But he kind of has some ninja vibes. Let's see. Let's pull up our other... we'll do that in a little bit. So this figure is literally all that was in the box. No stand, no weapons. So you're buying this, I think maybe with like an expectation that you're going to army build or customize or something. And then the equipment, you get a lot, right? So then here's the back of all the stuff that comes in there. And it clearly says figure not included, but you could see how that might be confusing if you're like, well, is there a figure in here or not? No, this is just the equipment. And there is quite a bit, right? There is quite a bit of equipment. I misspoke. I completely misspoke. In the box with the figure, he does come with an MP5K and a series of hands, as well as another head for a black dude. So that's kind of cool that you can swap out heads. You can make them, you know, look different. If you're going to army build, they're not all the exact same. You can make it look like you or whatever. It's cool they offer that option. So I retract my first statement that yeah, he does come with an MP5K. And let's bust this thing out. That's a pretty good MP5K. It appears to be reverse stretch, so it's a reverse stretch MP5K because there's only one pin. On an MP5K, normally there's a top pin and a bottom pin. The reverse stretch is just the bottom pin. So that's just a bit of detail. Let's see how it fits in there. It's a pretty good looking MP5 though. It would have been nice if there was an optic on it, but you know, that's okay. The retro ones, you know, they had the claw mount, but you know, if you wanted a true retro MP5K, they didn't come with optics. I might want to switch out hands before I mount. Well, let's try to. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to maybe swap out some of the hands that come with it. You know, get them to pose well. And we'll do that in the stills. But yeah, he holds the MP5. You know, so you get a figure, comes with a gun, comes with a different head and a couple hands. That's not so bad. The stand would have been pretty cool. I'm a huge fan, like I said, of the stands. But then we've got all of our accessories. So we've got a similar M4, except this has what looks to be a PEC 2. So Desert Rat did not have a PEC 2 on his M4. This one does, but it's a similar SOP mod style stock. Clearly an ACOG with the addition of, and let me confirm that his did not have a PEC 2. Yeah, no PEC 2 on Desert Rats. And this is, it's hard to tell in here because of the lighting. It is a slightly lighter shade. So Desert Rat's M4 was a bit more OD, and this is a little bit more flat dark earth. The addition of the PEC 2 is pretty cool. I can tell it's a PEC 2 because they were like elongated, and you know, was it like the PEC 15 is one of the more recent ones. and this is, yeah, dual tone, so that's kind of cool. It breaks up, you know, the outline a little bit. It adds to it to a degree. And our accessories, we'll get this guy all kitted up. It includes the same little IFAK that we saw on Desert Rat and Condor, the same helmet that that Condor had with the removable earpieces for the helmet. The same thing with the PVS 14s. Now I want to say that Condors were painted. Yeah, they were painted, and so are these. So these have a little green tint to them. It looks like the same little schmog, but this is unpainted. So on both Condor and Desert Rat, there was some detail painting, whereas this does not have that. The same, we'll just call it a SIG. A little bit lighter receiver, and then the black slide. And then that Valaverse body armor that I think it's really well done. We'll get them all put together and see how he looks. But this is certainly a little bit lighter shade. There's no painted flag, so there's no like insignia on the little patch area. And these come with the PMag. The camera shut off for some reason. It might be getting hot. Will cool down for a little bit. So, yeah, some of the Molly pieces on the or Molly webbing on the body armor, the plate carrier, are painted with some nice details. So that's pretty cool. It looks like there's some OD and some sort of flat dark earth in there as well. I don't want to pull this off, but it looks like you could probably pull the mag pouches off of there as well. The knife comes out, a little standard Valaverse knife, and then we've got the same utility belt. It's all painted up. We got some nice detail on that, but this is the same one worn by Condor and Desert Rat, which is fine. You know, it's kind of the same thing. I'd say it'd be kind of cool if it were modular, but I know like some of those pieces, those smaller pieces, tend to fall off. So what's interesting is you're gonna have to pull the figure apart, the upper torso from the hips, to put this on, and they could have done the same thing instead of having, you know, this little attachment or whatever where it closes up. You could just pull the arms off and slid it over. But I guess that was to make it easier to put it on, but we'll find out. And then he's got this neat little satchel, I suppose. So he's got a little satchel. Maybe there's some explosives in there. Maybe his lunch, you know, an MRE. You know, who knows? But he's got a little satchel he can carry. That's kind of cool. And then we've got some blast effects and this little antenna thing. So the blast effects, I don't know if these are... Okay, so for the rifle... No, it doesn't go over that. That's weird. Yeah, so for the rifle... the barrel goes into the blast effect to create that look. And then on the pistol, I got a little one for a pistol. It'll insert. That's cool. And it's sort of an amber orange, which graduates more to a sharper yellow. So it looks like a flash. There you go, on the MP5. Be careful. I guess it's maybe certainly for an older collector, a more mature collector. Maybe not like an 8-year-old kid. Those are some cool blast effects. I do like those. I wish they were interoperable with the Hasbro ones, but yeah, whatever. I guess it's not that big of a deal. They might be, because the Hasbro ones are about a 1.55 or maybe 1.5 millimeter diameter because all of the new Top Fun Retro Toys 3D weapon systems are compatible with the Hasbro one. So make sure you see on the website, I take pictures of it. It'll have the blast effects incorporated in with my new designs. So I'll have to check and see if they're compatible with the Valaverse ones. I imagine that they would fit in just the same. This doesn't seem to be larger than the Hasbro ones, but we'll have to confirm that later on. So let's get this guy suited up and see what he looks like. Alright, we got our dude all suited up, and overall it's pretty cool. It's about, you know, the same figure with less personality, because there's no screaming head, as Condor and Desert Rat. If we were to put them all kind of side by side, we would see that, you know, these are very similar in nature. He's got the same legs and boots. No, he does not have the same boots. This guy's boots has these interesting little straps on them. No, but overall they look pretty similar. They look like part of a desert team with some kind of mismatched type uniforms. The torso is the same, but you really don't notice it as much because it's got the body armor. I did figure out that this little antenna that comes with it is for his comm gear. It took me having to look at the other figures to figure out what was missing. But yeah, for the price point, not a bad figure at all. Not a bad figure at all. The weapon is okay. With the exception of the little magazine thing, just kind of bothers me. Maybe that's, you know, but that's just me. I don't think it'd bother a lot of other people. But yeah, overall, pretty cool figure. A little generic, but you know, if you're gonna build a team or do some kit bashing, this is probably a cool thing to, you know, to pick up. I do like having, you know, different faces. I think having different, you know, each teammate to have a different look about them. At least, you know, facial expression is pretty cool. I wouldn't want just like everybody looking like, you know, federales, who are just masked up ISIS dudes. I like having, you know, somebody, you know, even if the Condor's expression is over the top, just the fact that he's expressive, I think that's pretty neat. And the tattoos on Desert Rat are super cool. And then I think that our Republic Guard is just a little bit more vanilla Desert Trooper. You could, you know, maybe throw a G.I. Joe head on there or something, you know, to kind of make your own team or make them just a little bit different. But these are really cool figures. I can't wait to do some photography with the Desert 1 weapons that we're working on. I think that's going to turn out really great. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time.